Hello. No lessons today, just a bit of fun. Sometimes when you're doing all your kind of painting and you're exploring your ideas and stuff, sometimes you come up with these weird splashes and tests and things like that. And I thought it would be fun to kind of just take a piece that's just a kind of throw of some paint while you're thinking about some things and just kind of see what we can do with it. just to kind of loosen up and have a bit of fun. Nothing serious, but it might give you some ideas of like a piece. Maybe you've tested out some watercolor, tested out some ink, and you've put it on the side, and then later on when you look at it, you kind of go, doesn't that look like a... And then you could draw on top of it and build onto it in a very kind of like somebody has helped you. You know, it's like you've seen something that maybe you drawn days ago on the floor and you've picked it up. So I'm going to try with this today. And one piece that got me was this. I don't know what I was thinking, but I've just put two white spots in there now, and I thought, doesn't that look like somebody's hat and a body? I don't know, maybe it doesn't. But to me it does. And I was just looking at it and I was thinking, doesn't that... And so I put some white in there just to see if it would help bring the idea across. So I thought, let's try it. Let's see if we can make some kind of splash, some kind of throwaway piece into a drawing. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to have a bit of fun. Let's see what happens. It might be terrible and it might be amazing. So, you ready to just have a bit of fun? Okay. Thank you. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so somebody's asked me to finish this off. How would I finish the colors and balance them off? So I'm just going to do a quick... Treat this as a sketch. And that's the way I love to do it. And there's no, I've just chosen some three very beaten up old brushes. Look at those. They're nothing special. That's just a very big fat one for when I get too excited, and two little square ones. It's just a sketch. So these are just having a bit of fun. And let's just see what we can do here. Let's go for green. We're going to do some green shorts down there. And this is just us having a bit of fun. Not getting too serious. I don't like when we get too serious with things. And what I like to do is just feel. Don't worry too much about anything. I like to put a lot of water on my brush because I really like to see how the paint naturally dries on something. Sometimes I kind of put down a very rough wash on something, and then in fact sometimes I just go mostly with water. You see how much I haven't even touched any more paint, and that just kind of gives me a nice base sometimes to kind of build on. And then I can kind of dip in and say, well, I'd like a little bit more around there, and I'd like a little bit more dark around there. And it kind of gives me this kind of blotchy effect, which I love. I love this idea of it just being kind of a little bit loose and, you know. So that's kind of how I like to feel. And the way that it works for me is that if you're sketching with your ink and you're sketching with your paint, then what happens is you get this lovely, vibrant, sketchy feeling across all of your artwork. And that's what I try to achieve. I don't try to get too serious about things. I kind of feel if I get too serious with it, then I kind of, see, too much. And by serious, I kind of mean, not that I don't take my work serious, but I don't get too technical about it. I don't feel like, well, you know, that's a little bit bleeding into that. That's not nice. I should fix that. And, you know, I don't worry about that because I kind of feel like this looseness in the drawing and this looseness in the paint kind of brings a lot of life to it, in my opinion, you know. And I love that. I love the fact you can just kind of go in and touch up. Like here, I'm just going to add a little bit more and see if I can darken that up a little bit. For me, that's starting to feel really, really lovely. Quick wash out. And then we've got some blue there, which I was really unhappy about. You know, it was my fault. You know, I put too much black down there too quick. And get a little bit too much. And it started to bleed into that, and I was just trying to soften it down a little bit. Again, just trying to get the water going, and that kind of gives it a lovely loose feeling the more kind of water you kind of put onto it. Same down here. I'm just gonna kind of give it a little bit of wrinkles into all this breaks into the shirt. And I'm going to kind of bring in a little bit more, because that kind of red is bleeding over there too much. So I'm just going to kind of bring in the paint there. I don't want to disturb my my t-shirt design here, but I do want to kind of get a feeling of that. And that'll all dry. At the moment it's very dark, but what it will do is it will dry down and it will kind of give me a kind of a blotchy looseness to the picture, which is, if you look at something like my cat book, you'll see how I did that. There you are. It's that type of painting, and that's on my cat books. You find them on Amazon, and that's a lot of what I was doing on that. You know, a lot of these paintings are done very simple, blotchy wash. You know, it's very, 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 very washed out, and I loved doing that. See, like with that, it was more like just kind of throwing the ink on there. And again, that's just shades of brown. So go on and have a look. And you can see how, you know, the green here is blotched out and blotched over here, but it kind of works nice. You know, it's even fed into the eye a little bit. So some of these were really beautiful. You know, I loved sometimes how kind of, I mean, that was something that just became, I kept putting more paint on and make more paint on. And I really hated this one. And everybody loved this one. It became one of the big posters on my shop. And I sold so many of these posters for this one. And it's probably the least one that I like in the whole thing. I mean, I loved that one. Just like a big cat fight, and it was blotched all over the place. And that's what this book is. I mean, there you can see like how all the paint has dried. Can you see that? On the fish, all in the water. All came up very blotchy, and I just loved that texture. So that's kind of how I kind of get here with some of this. I just tried to get the water in there and kind of make it feel nice and loose. Try not to get it too serious, too kind of perfect. And that kind of feels really nice with the, you see it like the last couple of minutes there, I'm just adding water almost to everything. And when it dries, it has this lovely natural feel. Oh, don't do that. Don't bleed into my green. You can catch a couple of those little things get a little bit too over the top. And that's just when you start to put down too much water across too many different panels, you know, or sections if you wish. And that's kind of like how we're getting on with this. And as that dries, as this green dries, you'll start to get this lovely dryness that comes in, and you can start to add color on top of it. The only thing that I haven't really got too pleased with, that I haven't really got too kind of bogged perfect, is with doing, let's see if it even opens now. I knew it wouldn't open. And that is getting these this kind of skin flesh tone. Very, very difficult to do. Very difficult to get it right. I haven't used it in too long. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Well, that's not going to work, is it? All right, well, we'll leave that for now. And again, sometimes these kind of the grey mixes that I put in, they're kind of like you know, I kind of like to have this feeling that it's kind of like a lovely background feeling. I used a lot of this on Worry Lips, and I loved how it kind of, with adding water to this texture, it just kind of, when it dries out, it has this incredible feeling about it. It's like almost like some kind of fog or something around it, and I loved that. And again, it's one of those type of things, you can see how the paint, as it's dried over time, this paint has dried, then you see all this kind of grain and texture in there, and I love that. I love the way it kind of, you can blotch it on and you can feel how it settles within it. That is something that I love about the way I draw and the way I paint. It just seems to fill it up and it just gets exciting. Now I've got to be careful there because I've got a little bit of an area there where I've got too much water down here, and I can go in and dry it up a little bit, and I'll paint down there and I'll get that grey going, and that for me is just exciting. And again, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to get back in, and we're going to get down and dirty around the legs. And this is just kind of putting down a base behind. And again, I love the way it naturally fills the paper, and this grain from the old paint settles, and once it dries, it has this magical texture. And it's something you can't get with just using brand new beautiful paint. That's why I kind of let these pots kind of just grow and develop over time. I never wash them out. You can see the state of them, and that kind of gives me a lovely feeling, because like some of these are darker shades. So I'll take a smaller brush, and we take it and you can just drop it in and it'll just explode, and it gives this beautiful texture to it. And you'll just see that it just kind of adds more and more textures to the area around where you are, and that is lovely. I love that kind of feeling about it. Let's just fill it up there around the bird, and once that dries, that'll be really quite a magical thing. It kind of looks a bit mushy at the moment, but once it's dried, it will come up fantastic. Right, so I need another color for this bird, and I'm tempted to kind of go with a yellow. Let's see what we got there with the yellow and the mustard. Let's see what I can come up with. That's cool. Now and again, I'm not getting too kind of careful about what I'm putting down, because I want to kind of let the paint settle naturally. And that will give me a lovely feeling later on when I come in with my paint and I start to add the colors on top, and it will really, really come alive a little bit. Just get a little bit more of that yellow. And that's kind of like building up the face and the structure of this little bird. And don't kind of be negative about how quick it's done and how roughly it's done, because sometimes I kind of feel like sometimes this looseness actually adds a lot of character to the actual drawing. And that's coming up nice. And that's basically how I'm going to structure up these things. I can't do the flowers yet because it's still dry, but that gives you a basic idea of how I'm using textures and how I'm adding different colors and things like that. Like this bird, it needs a little bit more yellow onto that. Let's see if I've got a nice yellow there that I can kind of build on top of it with. But what I try to do is I try to build these colours up over time, and what it will do, in fact that's kind of an interesting subject there, let's just try it out. Let's just see if I can kind of bring in a little bit of that yellow. And that will just highlight some of those areas once it's dried out. So that's it, very, very quick. I will do a better demonstration for color because this is just our kind of, this was our piece of splashed ink that we weren't too sure what we were going to do with, and we were going to throw it out. And we thought, well, let's just build on it and let's see what we can come up with from this, and hope that is something that's, once it dries, I hope it's something that then again I can go in again and I can start to build things up. I can start to build up a little bit more there already. I can start to see that the blue can do with a little bit more, you know, and you can start to build up your picture and you start to build it up a little bit. Beautiful. So thank you very much for watching the final part of this. And this was just kind of like how you can kind of give a mistake or a piece of painting or a piece of drawing and give it a second chance. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a bit of fun. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Well, good morning. This is how it dried out. I think it came kind of fun, wasn't it? You can see how the paint has settled in a very blotchy style. And there's that face. Oh, wow. That is funny. That is cool. Yeah, all right. And there's my bird. The bird was a little bit one-dimensional, but maybe I could have put a little bit more color on the feathers, maybe a little bit more orange or something, a bit more red on the end. But that is my crazy man, and he's wearing his t-shirt from Kieron Seamons studio. So there we are. That was just a bit of fun. That was a blotch of red ink that I threw on a page. I tested out some blue next to it, and I threw it on the side. It dried. It'd been sitting there for days, and I thought, well, let's use it on a drawing. So keep your messes, keep your crazy throws, and you never know, you might make a fun drawing out of them later on. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you. And keep those crazy drawings. And keep coming back to Kieron Seamons studio for more fun. He agrees.